Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. A little bit more Hidden River up in this piece in the form of their Surface of the Earth West Coast Pilsner. Yeah, that does not look like the surface of the Earth. It could be. I don't know. But, yeah, we're rounding third on our Hidden River beers. I think I have two more left to review out of the beers that they sent off. This is the last itty bitty that they sent off. I sent off a couple itty bitties, a couple monsters. The last one is a triple IPA. That should be, yeah, take a little bit of a effort on that one. So we'll see what's what. Label-wise, it's what Hidden River does. So yeah, beer-wise, look at that. No logo. Yeah, I mean, that looks the part of craft lager. I mean, it's a West Coast style Pilsner. You assume it's just got copious amounts of West Coast hops. That they actually call out hops on here? No, they don't. On the bottom, they might. Nah, it's 5 and change. 5.8 looks like. And then it just says surface. But yeah, so you assume it's a lot of West Coast style hops. And it's got this soft little haze to it that you get a lot from craft kind of Pilsner. Usually you can get a little bit clearer than this, but this tends to be more like a hazy little lager. Let's see if we can get a nose. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it comes off very Czech lager-like to me, but there is this little twinge of something extra to it, and that has to be a little bit of piney resinous. Obviously, we'll get a little bit more in tune with that with the taste, but it does have this kind of bitter footprint that you'd expect from kind of like a really hopped-up Czech, like, one of the hoppier Czech kind of lagers. And with that little tinge of something. And I say that because it's very nondescript, but it almost has to be those West Coast vibes kind of coming through on the aromatics. But then on the other side of things, there's this like sweetness to it, and almost like this little like they threw a touch of wheat in there or something along those lines, because that's how it comes off to me. That little bit of sweetness is just a little bit different than when you get from a typical kind of just base Pilsner malt kind of a Pilsner, and I dig it. I like this little added little bit of sweetness, which kind of makes sense if you're going to go with like a little bit extra kind of bittering. If you threw just a base kind of Pilsner malt on, it might just get overpowered by all those West Coast hops. Throw in a little something, a little bit of wheat. You can throw any spelt, something in there, just kind of change but elevate the sweetness a little bit to help balance off that bittering. Could be a smart move. We'll see what's what. Let's dive in. Cheers. This has to have a little bit of wheat in it. It has to. Yeah, it is definitely aggressive on the bittering side of things. Not like challenging bittering, but you're talking about, a mid 5% Pilsner with a really pumped up aggressiveness. You definitely want that little added extra bit of sweetness to it. And you're getting in here. There's a little bit of a soft mouthfeel, so it starts to steer away from a Pilsner in that sense. And I think that is the addition of what malt they're using here. I don't think, again, it's a base malt. I wouldn't be surprised there's a pinch of wheat or something in there. But that's adding a little bit of softness and mouthfeel. Steers you away from that kind of crispy boy Pilsner. But it drinks so crisp and clean, it definitely lives in that lager category. On the hop side of things, I'm actually getting a decent amount of orange off of this. That's not something I typically get from, a Pilsner, at least a hopped up Pilsner. It's not like juicy, like confectionery kind of orange, very much kind of under-ripened, spritzy kind of orange, but I dig it, and there's definitely a sturdy bittering to this. It doesn't come off hyper piney. It's more of a little bit of resinous action. And it drinks really cool. This is a really well-made beer. I've talked about their lagers before, how they have this kind of minerality to them, this little bit of water chemistry hoodoo to it. I think that's going on here too, because even though you have that little bit of softness from what I think is a malt base thing, again, leaning into wheat here, but again, I could be wrong. Probably don't even know. They probably don't even call it out on their website. Anyway, there is that finish that comes off really clean. I think that's elevated by a little bit of water chemistry going on here. This is a very fun beer. Honestly, all the beers I have from them, their super high ABV stout was probably my least favorite of the bunch. It was a fun beer. It was just, there was something amiss with that, but it was still a really good beer. But of all the beers I've had, I've been very, very surprised by the lager game. I knew their reputation from the hazy side of things, but actually dive into these kind of cleaner, smaller beers. Yeah. definitely fun when breweries don't orbit in that one direction. And it goes to show you a lot of these breweries, whether, I would put Hidden River up there with some of the bigger names, your Fridens, your Treehouses of the world. They have a lot of great other beers outside of the hazies. And, after a while, I love me a hazy IPA with the best of them. But you kind of want to drink beer, and that's not really a drinking beer. So when the breweries make really great hazy, but also make really great other beers, especially the low ABV lagery stuff, gets me a little hot and bothered. So I'm a fan. But yeah, it's really tasty. Again, a bit outside of what we typically expect from a lager, even a West Coast lager, which I don't even know if that's a category when it comes to BJCP. But when you're talking about lagers in general, the malt bill here, that little bit of softness, the elevated hops, that whole thing, even the water chemistry kind of is more of an Americanized version of it. But I don't care. I think it's tasty AF, and I'm here for it. And yeah, that orange on there is fun. The bittering's fun. The mouthfeel, everything about it. Awesome beer. It's one of the better lagers I've had as of late. I'd even say yes, if we're kind of nitpicking on styles, it kind of wavers in there. Is it one of the more funner West Coast-ish beers that I've had as of late? Absolutely. Valued availability, brewery only. Not sure of the price. If anybody out there knows it, let me know down there and leave you with if you like what we like this beer. If you like lager, you like West Coast beers, you want them to mash up with a little bit of hair on fire, you will dig this. So there you go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully you enjoyed. You can check me out on the social medias, Mad at Massive Beers, or just type in Massive Beers on the old Googs and you'll find me. Hidden River. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? All that fun stuff down there. Hopefully you enjoyed a review. Hopefully you're enjoying some West Coast goodness right now. West Coast influenced goodness. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.